Akufo-Addo's latest appointments to the Electoral Commission, former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo has also been speaking on this matter. Stay with us. We have it all on Ghana Tonight. The Opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, has wrapped up vetting of aspirants in readiness for its May 13 primaries. We have the highlights, including the controversies and the likely big contests ahead. We'll touch base with our correspondents across the country on this matter. Also, we put the spotlight on the growth and sustainability tax as was approved by Parliament and yet to be assented to by the President. We'll speak to industry players on how this will affect them, and then also especially the banks as well, how they intend to deal with all of this. We'll have some analysts join us. Professor John Gachi is the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, together with industry. The Association of Ghana Industry is always speaking tonight on this matter. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. As always, we're very interactive. Let's hear from you. The hashtag is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and Twitter. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs. The Coalition of Election Observers, CODEO, Star Ghana, and the Civic Forum Initiative are calling for the resignation of Dr. Apia Hene and Salima Ahmed Tijani as members of the Electoral Commission Board. According to the three civil society organizations, allegations of their political ties with the governing New Patriotic Party could jeopardize the confidence the electorate have in the Electoral Commission.
Building and sustaining trust and confidence in an election management body is a delicate business. We accordingly call on Dr. Peter Piahini and Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani to do the honorable thing and resign.
Heavy security was deployed at the premises of the Ashanti Regional NDC party office when it got to the turn of Aswase constituency to go through the vetting process for the parliamentary primaries. With a charged atmosphere, the incumbent Muntaka Mubarak and his contender Masoud Mubarak stormed the vetting center with hundreds of supporters. Meanwhile, in Accra, the party is scrutinizing the nomination forms of all three parliamentary aspirants of the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. John Dumelo, Fred Nyama, and Moses Echampon filed their nomination online, but the party says it has identified some anomalies.
At the two candidates, there is some form of anomaly. Our national leadership is investigating the matter so that they will then give us a true state of affairs, because they are better placed to advise us as to what direction to take. And once the advice comes, we will call the constituency and then have their vetting done.
Commissioner of Police Nathan Kofi Boakye bows out of the Ghana Police Service after 34 years of service. A ceremony was held with family, friends, and top security officials, including the Inspector General of Police, George Ekufu-Dampare, bidding him farewell. To the presidency, and President Akufo-Addo has tasked newly sworn-in ministers to ensure they maintain the highest standards of integrity in the execution of their mandate. The president gave their charge when he swore into office new ministers and a deputy minister at the Jubilee House.
An opportunity is being offered you to serve your country in an elevated capacity. Seize the opportunity with humility, but with determination, and perform. You must at all times show allegiance to your minister.
About 1,000 Special Forces personnel have been dispatched to Boko in the Upper East region, where 3 immigration officers were shot at. One of them died while trying to get food in front of a police station. According to the regional minister, Stephen Yakubu, the presence of the special forces is intended to increase security while also assisting investigations into fishing out the killers who are still at large.
Not at all. Not at all. I don't see. I see a lot of expenditure rather than accountability of our taxes and all that. I mean, I'm not seeing any evidence whatsoever. I suggest that the leaders would account for the little they take so that if they task us to pay more, we would. Because at the end of the day, if I give you money and I'm seeing the use of the money, I'm sure I'll be able to glad to give you more. But if I'm not seeing it, definitely I won't be able to give more. So they should account for what they've already taken and then we see the way forward.
As for me, no. Because we are paying the tax and still we are not seeing anything. Any improvement, our roads are not good. We are not bringing good water. So I don't know the importance of these taxes.
Well, to some extent, yes, some extent, no. I mean, we all live on the perception of that. Our politicians are taking our money. They're using it for unnecessary things. I mean, there's people driving V8 all over the place. And I mean, basic things like a pothole, it takes several years to get fixed. So basically, I can say no. From my point of view, I can say no.
Things are going top. People are suffering. So we don't know what to do. We just bail. Whether we should run from Ghana, we don't know. Whether we should stay, we don't know. So people are crying. Look at people sleeping, dunking everywhere. Things are very rough, begging. So we don't know what to do.
Personally, I haven't given attention to it much, but it's really a problem we are all facing now. But to me, I'm going as the system is. I have no option than to accept the system.
Well, so that's what you hear. They have no option than to accept the system. And continuously, you hear citizens talk about the evidence of what our taxes have been used for. And it's incumbent on government to show that evidence so that if this administration, for instance, comes and says, you know what, over 300 billion cedis has been, as it were, added to our debt, public debt over the period. This is what we have used the money that we borrowed for, and then the resources that were made available to government internally. This is what has been used for. And there's no way anybody can say that between 2017 and now, this government has done nothing. But you see, you juxtapose the resources allocated to government and what has been done. Then you square up. Does it really square up? Is it commensurate with the resources given to government, the work that has been done? If not, where is the money? Okay, so when taxes are imposed, for instance, we've seen the growth and sustainability levy that has been approved by Parliament, which will affect a number of sectors in this country. Government intends to raise some 2.2 billion cedis annually from this growth and sustainability levy. But these are the various sectors that are going to be affected. The banks, there's a 5% profit before tax. Banks are going to be hit by that if accented to by the president eventually. And you should bear in mind that the banks, insurance firms have all been hit by this domestic debt exchange program impact, even though there's this announcement of the 15 billion cedis, the financial sustainability fund. We don't know how far the disbursement of this financial stability fund has been over the period. But the banks will now have to grapple with this as well, and all the other taxes, so many of them that they are paying, and effectively going to increase the taxes banks are having to pay to about 40% if this goes through. Insurance firms have to deal with this. Non-bank financial institutions have to deal with it. Telcos are also going to be hit by this growth and sustainability levy. The breweries, inspection and valuation firms, mining support firms, BDCs and OMCs as well. The oil marketing companies, the bulk distribution companies as well. So you would see, especially when concerns are raised about the increasing number of taxes that are in the price build-up. We'll see how the oil marketing companies will deal with this one as well. The tower operators, petroleum support firms, Securities and Exchange Commission registered institutions, you have SDIs, e-money issuers, shipping lines, maritime, airport terminals. All these various sectors are going to be hit or will be demanded to pay this profit before tax. That is the impact analysis of this growth and sustainability levy, as we're seeing now. That is not the only one. Apart from these sectors I've talked about, there's going to be also a 1% gross production that they would have to pay. That's the mining firms and the oil and gas firms. The concern here that a number of these companies have raised is that they've already signed a number of clauses, the sustainability agreement with government to ensure that all these eventual expenditure is not affecting them. But if you look at the details of this Growth and Sustainability Act or the levy, what we are reading is that this levy does not take cognizance of all the sustainability clauses or the agreements that have been signed between the mining firms and government. And that's why you see the upstream petroleum sector and the association led by David Ampofo raising concerns about the impact of this particular growth and sustainability levy. They are not alone in this. All other business entities are also going to be required to pay 2.5% profit before tax on the profit before taxes. 2.5% is going to go to government. So you declare your profit even before the tax, you're paying 2.5%. That's actually what's going to happen. So for instance, for us here at TV3 and all other businesses that were not captured in the previous slides that I showed you, all other companies would be required to pay 2.5% profit before tax. So you see, this growth and sustainability levy covers a number of sectors that are going to be impacted. And so this would also impact on the plans and the programs that these various companies and the sectors that are going to be affected, a number of them, look at them, all would have in the coming months, okay? Because their balance sheet will be affected as well, and their bottom lines would also be affected. They'll have to re-strategize. And if you don't have money to cushion you against the impact, then that's why Labour also raised concerns that it could possibly lead to some of these companies shutting down and people will be laid off. They'll go home and it would add on to the increasing unemployment rate in this country. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal, right? But the government says it needs money. So we'll look into this matter. Professor John Gachi will join us. We'll get into it as well as the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, will join us. We'll talk about this matter as well as we demand how government can also cut down expenditure to complement this that they are asking all these companies to pay for. Plus, the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, is asking some 2 out of the 3 latest appointments to the Electoral Commission by the President to resign. We'll tell you why. And the former Chief Justice has also talked about this. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Ghana Tonight. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. The Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, Star Ghana, and the Civic Forum Initiative, CFI, are calling for the resignation of Dr. Piahene and Salima Ahmed Tijani as members of the Electoral Commission Board. Now, according to the 3 civil society organizations who have been speaking, allegations of their political ties with the governing New Patriotic Party could jeopardize the confidence the electorates have in the Electoral Commission. Remember, these are 2 out of the 3 persons who were appointed to the commission by the president just about some 2-3 weeks ago. And so CODEO addressed a press conference earlier today. Take a look.
2. We are painfully aware that voluntary and constitutionally grounded revocation of these unfortunate and democratically problematic EC appointments by the President is extremely unlikely. However, nothing stops the affected appointees, namely Dr. Peter Piahini and Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani, from voluntarily and honorably resigning from membership of the EC. This will be in the supreme interest of our country's continued democratic progress, election peace and credibility, and indeed the overall national interest. While both Dr. Piahini and Madam Salima Ahmed Tijani meet the generic benchmark qualification stipulated under Article 44.1, that is the same qualification one must satisfy to be a member of Parliament, we believe strongly that, having regard to the independent and non-partisan nature of our Electoral Commission and its mandate, the spirit of the Constitution demands far more in the way of one's suitability to be a member of the EC. We accordingly call on Dr. Peter Piahini and Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani to do the honorable thing and resign.
Reverend Fred Degbe, who is also a member of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, stay with me. We're going to speak to the National Coordinator of CODEO shortly, a former that's the Electoral Services, Director of Electoral Service at the Electoral Commission, Albert Tahin, is going to be joining us on the telephone shortly. But who are these two people that the CODEO and then also Star Ghana is asking that they step aside? Take a look. Yes, here's what we do know about them. This is Dr. Peter Piahini. If you've been monitoring social media, a number of his videos have gone viral of him being seen in a radio station defending the NPP and so on. He's a chair of the Department of Computer Science and Informatics at the University of Energy and Natural Resources. It's not too clear right now if he's still occupying that particular position, but prior to his appointment, this is what we do know. Assistant professor with over 10 years working experience, head of science and informatics at that same university. He's the CEO of CY Technologies and Consultancy. He's been also cited in a number of areas as patron to TESCON, even though some executives of the NPP have denied this. But he's also included in 6-member shortlist for the Bono Regional Minister position sometime in 2021. At the time, he was included in that 6-member shortlist. Here's the second person who is also, according to CODEO, they're appealing to them to step aside themselves. That's why the president appointing them. Hajia Salima Ahmed Tijani, banker with close to 2 decades of experience, senior remittance officer at the time at ADB, member, Chartered Institute of Bankers, associate member, Boardroom Institute, holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Integrated Development Studies from the University of Development Studies, UDS, and the MBA in Project Management from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. That's what we do know about these two. I mean, until today, a lot of the calls was for Dr. Piahini to resign or to step aside because of his open political affiliation to the NPP. But now Hajia has also been roped in. In fact, it's not just CODEO that is making this call or some other concerns group, including the minority NDC, but the former Chief Justice, Justice Sophia Akufo, has also added her voice to this and how this could impact on public perception about the independence of the Electoral Commission going into the next election. Take a look.
There are standards for the public service. Public service is anything that the citizens' money, the taxpayers' money goes into. That's part of public service. The conflict of interest is something which always can be dealt with, whether it is written in black and white or not. if somebody feels that somebody has a conflict of interest. And conflict of interest does not necessarily have to be actual. It can be potential. Uh-huh. And so it's up to the public to see what they want to do about it. If it's okay with them, why not? That's all I can say. So even Codeo could even take the matter to court if they want to. Yes.
You think that what the public is saying about them being politically exposed is really true with your experience?
Me, I'm not a politician, and so I don't know what goes on. All I know is that the only thing I can do is maybe analogy on the bench. If there's somebody you've worked with before, or you're about to maybe serve on a very important committee with, you'll be interacting very actively. If they have a matter before you, it's up to you to decide whether you will recuse yourself or not. For me, I would recuse myself, not because it's likely to influence me, but also in the justice or doing the right thing in public service. A lot of it also depends on public perception. Yes, and I think something to do with national elections and so on. Public perception is very important. That's one of the appointments that people have been talking about, plus so many other powers of appointment into certain positions where the relationship, and for it to be a healthy relationship, if there could be another methodology or process or procedure for the appointment, it will be more desirable. Yes. Like even the appointment of judges. In most countries these days, it is not a direct nomination and appointment at the very top level. It's not by the head of state. It is through an independent commission, most of whose members are either from certain selected bodies, or they are even voted onto it. Yes. And it's better that way. Everything in this world that you can arrange in such a way that the dealings are at arm's length is better than somebody's arm is twisted and another one's arm is in their pocket.
That's former Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, also sharing her views on this. In fact, sides with a number of people on this, the impact of the politically exposed persons being appointed onto the Electoral Commission, which is supposed to be the referee in an election, albeit the fact that the chair of this commission is also appointed by the president. And that's why the likes of the IEA are calling for the constitutional review, so that the power of the president to appoint the EC chair would also be reviewed. But Albert Ahin is the national coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO. So Ahin, thank you so much for your time on Ghana Tonight, for connecting with us on the telephone. There have been divergent views on this. You've been one-time director of elections of this Electoral Commission, Ms. Ahin. So what is the impact of appointing politically exposed persons onto the Electoral Commission?
Yeah, you were asking what action will be taken if this call is not heeded.
Indeed.
We are particularly concerned about the people themselves, the appointees, the two that have been mentioned in this press release. You see, in their own interest, I think it would be better if they could do so, because, imagine you being on the station and propagating the ideas of that particular party, meaning that you are a member of that party, and then later on you are made a member of the Electoral Commission. what is the role of the Electoral Commission? The Electoral Commission is a referee so far as elections are concerned. It is independent. It is supposed to be impartial. It is supposed to be having, conducting elections in a very free, fair, and, whatever you can think of. So if you are a referee, how do you take sides?
Right.
You see, this is the bone of contention of the various NGOs and the CUCs who are doing this. It's been established through the search that these organizations did. That for some time, this, especially the Apiahene guy, was appearing on radio stations and talking on behalf of his party. You see, in the interest of the gentleman himself, if I were to be, have been given that opportunity or that chance, I would just look back and ask myself, what did I do those days? You see, because accusing fingers will be pointed at you. And what the CSOs and the NGOs are saying is that you are joining a commission that is supposed to be independent. A commission that is supposed to be doing things in such a way that all parties involved in an election will be satisfied. You see, so if you are already siding with a particular party, what are you going to do when you join them? What will your colleagues see you, those people you have been moving with in your area, how will they even look at you? You see, unlike in other jurisdictions where parties elect members to the EC board, we have a different ballgame here altogether. In the case of Ghana, the head of state appoints on the advice of the Council of State. Okay? And so it's not like in Ivory Coast or Togo or Malawi or any other jurisdiction where parties elect their representatives to serve on the EC board. Ours is a different thing. You see, so you cannot be a member of a party and serve as a member of the Electoral Commission. It's a partisan kind of thing that whoever put himself there is going to do. And we are saying that for some time now, or it even started way back in 1992, thereabout, the Electoral Commission has been losing confidentiality. They have been losing popularity amongst the people of this country. At the press conference, it was established that the EC now has only 10% the confidence level insofar as the populace is concerned. You see, so if it has gone that low, are we not aggravating the situation by bringing in people who are known within party circles to be members of the Electoral Commission? It endangers the life of the people serving at the Electoral Commission. So this is the situation as it is now. As to whether they are going to resign or they won't do it, time will tell. We have not had, the coalition has not thought of what is going to be done next. But I'm sure when they get to the bridge, they will cross it.
I see. But this matter that comes in, Ms. Ahin, you're seeing what is on the screen there, Article 72 of the 1992 Constitution. The President shall, acting on the advice of the Council of State, appoint the chairman, deputy chairman, and other members of the Electoral Commission. Now, let's go to the next one. You see, it does not in any way prescribe explicitly whether or not, politically exposed persons should be or can or cannot be appointed onto the Electoral Commission. The qualification that the Constitution prescribes, and this is what the people who argue for this and support the president on this matter have been referring to, that a person is not qualified to be appointed a member of the Electoral Commission unless he is qualified to be elected as a member of Parliament. That's really it in there. Apart from this qualification, the next one is that the second one that the Constitution makes reference to is that the person in this instance should have at least should be able to be elected or to contest as a member of parliament. So if you look at this, should we also be questioning the law and the advice that the Council of State gave to the president on this matter, in addition to the president's decision to appoint these persons?
In saying that, you see, the Constitution doesn't say this, but the independence of the Electoral Commission is unique. This is a moral, it borders on morality. Okay? It borders on morality. How can you be a member of the Electoral Commission, which is supposed to be neutral, when you support a party? I mean, you think about this. And let me give you an analogy. I have worked with the Electoral Commission for some time. There was a time somebody, I'm not mentioning any name, a member of the commission was in Sinyani somewhere when there was an election to be conducted. And then the results started coming. And the lady, or was it the man, I've even forgotten, saw that her party or his party was losing. And he forgot entirely that he was a member of the Electoral Commission. So he started, or she started, talking about the fact that what is happening. People, what if you don't like this party, then what do you want, And with the people seated there, she started walking away. You see, this is the kind of thing that we are talking about, where you cannot hide your identity, where you cannot hide your feelings because you are a party member and you are a member of the Electoral Commission. It's an embarrassment. The person I'm talking about had to walk away to go and sleep. And the people there saw what was going on. You see, there's tension already in this country, and if we are not careful, it has happened in other countries where membership of the Electoral Commission has generated controversy, and people have been killed, and there have been riots. You see, the Constitution doesn't talk about the fact that somebody shouldn't come from a party. It doesn't matter whether somebody comes from a party or not, but it's a question of morality. It's a question of independence of the Electoral Commission. It's a question of the impartiality of the Electoral Commission. And that is what we are talking about here. I'm talking about morality here. You are a member of a party. And then at the same time, you have been appointed as a member of the Electoral Commission. I mean, what it's like a dual role that is being given. And that is where the independence of that commission is what I'm talking about here. The EC is supposed to be deciding or presiding over all these parties, taking decisions.
Okay, but Ms. Ayin, before after this press conference that you have put together, I know you made some recommendations as well. So beyond this press conference, what are you going to do next? Finally, this is my fourth and final question to you.
You are a referee in a match. Do you have to take decisions to affect one team and leave the other? If you have a vested interest, the tendency is that you may be swayed in a way. Mm-hmm. You see, look, if it hadn't been for the fact that this gentleman hadn't gone to maybe the radio stations to talk about his party and other things, I'm sure if within him he was a member of that party and nobody knew about it, I'm sure these things wouldn't have come out. The CSOs and the NGOs wouldn't have come out to say this.
Right.
Look, let me give you an example of me sitting here talking to you. I was once a director of elections at the Electoral Commission, isn't it?
Indeed. True.
Or maybe, I'm sure you know.
Indeed. Yes, I do.
Each time my kids went to school, the teachers, everybody was asking if they knew the party that I belonged. They were tricking my kids in school. And the kids would always come and tell me that when we went to school, this teacher was asking whether you are with this party A or party B or C. You see, and because I wasn't discussing these things in my house, I wasn't talking party politics in the house. These kids never told anybody that this even went on in the house. Why were they asking? Why were the teachers asking whether I belong to Party A or Party B? They wanted to know whether I was partisan. If you're a member of the Electoral Commission and you go out to with friends, with whatever, you have to be careful about the way you talk about politics. Your utterances outside and within the commission itself. And everybody is aware. This is what, because you see, gone are the days, those days when people were recruited, even the staff of the Electoral Commission were vetted. The CID or the BNI vetted people who were supposed to be the staff of the Electoral Commission.
Right.
I don't know whether they stopped it or they are doing it now. Why were they doing all this? They were doing it.
And you stated the issues quite clearly on this, and whether this process of they being also vetted by the CID and the BNI is in place. But I thank you for your time on Ghana Tonight. Abehain is a former Director of Elections at the Electoral Commission, the current National Coordinator of CODEO. But CODEO made some recommendations. Let's take a look at this and why they think it should be considered by the President.
In filling a vacancy on the EC and other independent constitutional bodies, the President, acting in his role as head of state, propose and make public the names and biographical information of candidates to be considered by the Council of State. In keeping with the spirit of his role as head of state, the President should consult key stakeholders, including political parties represented in Parliament, in coming up with the list of candidates to be submitted to the Council of State. The Council should then invite persons and other inputs on the proposed individuals from the public as part of a process of vetting and shortlisting the candidates. The Council of State would then shortlist and rank the final candidates and make appropriate recommendations to the President. In an amended constitutional process, the nominee should be required to receive the approval of Parliament prior to their appointment by the President. What we wish to emphasize here is that nothing about the current constitutional provision and arrangement relating to the EC requires or excuses the appointment of partisans and other unsuitable persons to the membership of the EC.
Well, so we'll see how the coming days will look like on this matter. Let's still stay a bit further with the issues of elections. The NDC says it is scrutinizing the nomination forms of all three parliamentary aspirants of the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency, John Dumelo, Fred Nuama, and there's a third person, Moses Echampong. They filed their nominations online, but the party says it has identified some concerns in their documents which require further attention. Christian Yale was there earlier today. Take a look.
It is unclear when John Dumelo, Fred Nuama and Moses Befi Achampon will be vetted as the exercise ends on Wednesday, April 5. The nomination forms of all three aspirants are being scrutinized. So according to the Greater Accra Secretary of the NDC, Theophilus Setechai, the mode of filing of the nomination by John Dumelo and Fred Nuama were a little bit problematic. He says there were a number of anomalies that need to be investigated before the party can find a suitable date to vet them.
Filing on the last day, there were some challenges. And we are looking at the documentations because the filing was done online. And the online filing has certain features on the documents. And if you look at the two candidates, there is some form of anomaly. Although they claim to go through the process. They had challenges with going onto the system to use their bank card to do the filing.
Aside from this, the party has also cited some internal issues it is trying to resolve. The Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency has attracted huge interest.
Our national leadership is investigating the matter so that they will then give us a true state of affairs. Because we are not handling the system. We are not handling the system. They are handling the system. So they are better placed to advise us as to what direction to take. And once the advice comes, we will call the constituency and then have their vetting done.
John Dumelo in the 2020 elections increased votes of the NDC in the constituency. He is seeking to contest the seat again, but this time in what promises to be a strong contest between him and Fred Nuama. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Accra.
And see to watch indeed. We'll see how things play out. But William Evansinkum is our Northern Bureau Chief and our Chief Asante Regional Correspondent. Christopher Mwakon is our Northern Regional Correspondent. Gentlemen, thank you so much for connecting with us here on Ghana Tonight. And I know that you also, start off with you, William, you focused on what happened in the Ashanti region specifically. The standout was, as one say, was it not?
Absolutely, it was, because of the fact that for some time now, the incumbent Muntaka Mubarak has been going solo or running solo, but this time around he has to face a stiffer opposition from Masawood Mubarak. In the last primaries, Masawood wasn't allowed to contest Muntaka, but this time around he had the leeway to contest him, and of course he's coming in strongly. Because of the fact that he's also been establishing himself very well at the base or the grassroots. He has a number of followers. But what matters most is his popularity among the executives who have the power to elect the next person to lead the party as far as the parliamentary election is concerned. And that is what matters most. And that is exactly, what he's doing. Because as I'm talking to you now, the constituency chairman has openly declared his support for Masawood Mubarak, and that's a lot.
Interesting. And would you say that the replacement of Muntaka Mubarak as minority chief whip has also impacted on his influence in the constituency as the things are played out?
There's no two ways about that, because the last time Muntaka went solo, he was occupying the front bench as far as Parliament was concerned. So that really, worked for him. But this time around, one would say he's moving naked, literally, because there's no cover in terms of position in Parliament, the role in Parliament. He has been stripped off, and now he's contesting just like any ordinary incumbent who wants to retain his position as far as their respective constituencies are concerned. And that makes this particular contest, or May 13 contest, a bit stiffer or a bit keen for Muntaka Mubarak, at least for the first time.
I see. Let me bring in for you, Christopher Mwako, our Northern Regional Correspondent. Chris, which area stood out for you today as the NDC rounded up its process of vetting?
Sagnargo constituency, which has 6 aspirants contesting the current MP, that is ABF Husseini.
Right.
And in this constituency, 1 person has since been disqualified, and so 5 of them are going into the race. Now, if you go to the Kumbungu constituency, you know that Ras Mubarak lost the primaries somewhere in 2020 and eventually could not represent the people of Kumbungu. So this time he's coming back strongly and to contest the incumbent member of parliament there. Now, if you go to the Savlugu constituency where unfortunately one of the 2 female candidates or aspirants has been disqualified, and the issues are beginning to become more serious because some factions that support the woman are saying that if that is the case, then it means that NDC is going to lose the seat again to the MPP. So there are some issues, but the election committee has giving the people who have been disqualified the opportunity to appeal. Also, we have 3 constituencies already going unopposed, but the Tamale South constituency, the one of the aspirant contesting, the former minority leader, has been disqualified. So it means
unfortunate there, and that's what you see on the screen. That's Christopher's been talking about, Alhaji Suhini going unopposed. We'll pull that back on the screen again, just for the benefit of our viewers. The incumbent MPs who are going unopposed in the northern region. Let's pull that up again so that we take a look at that, at least so our viewers will follow quite closely. That's what you see there. Murtala Mohammed, Tamale Central Constituency, going unopposed. Daniel Okpai, also the Kwandai constituency. Haruna Idrisu, obviously a former minority leader, Tamale South MP, going unopposed. Now, for the Ashanti region, William, can you also tell us the incumbent MPs that's on NDC MPs who are also going unopposed?
Well, unfortunately for them, none is going unopposed. They're all being contested. Muntaka said already that is being contested. Masawood Mubarak is one person that he will have to overcome to be able to ensure that he retains his seat. Of course, Bawa in the New Edubiase constituency is also not going unopposed. New Edubiase, Bawa is from Edra. He is not going unopposed. New Edubiase, he has a contest. Central Front Plains, unfortunately, they are not part of the constituencies that are vetted because they are issues, and hopefully after May 13, their issues will be addressed. That's what I'm picking. So let me touch on this particular one briefly. 36 constituencies have completed the phase 1 of the NDC vet in the Ashanti region. 11 more constituencies, their issues. They will not, from what I'm hearing, they are likely to have their issues addressed after May 13, when nomination will be open in those constituencies, so they can also, vie for various positions as far as the parliamentary election is concerned. So the constituencies like Subin, Setra East, Fomena, they are all part of those constituencies that will have their nomination open after May 13 because of issues.
I see. And were there any consensus as well that the party put on hold because of certain concerns, like what we've seen with the Iwaso West Wagon constituency?
Well, absolutely. So those are the 11 constituencies that I mentioned. But let me just quickly run by you, the very constituencies that are not likely to be part of the, that's May 13 because of issues. So we have the Afano North constituency, Subin constituency, Mensha South constituency, Asante Achim Central constituency, Setra East, Offenso South, Offenso North, Fomna constituencies, and then of course Central Front Plains. They are all not taking part of the constituency. But let me just go back and then also let our viewers understand those constituencies per section 12.5 of the regulations as far as this particular exercise is concerned, that the candidates are going unopposed. So here we're talking about Obuasi East constituency. Only one person filed, and that is what I mean by going unopposed, because only one person filed for the contest. So Samuel Abuaje filed for the Obuasi East constituency, so he's not being contested. Joseph Azuma also filed for Akrofom, was the only person who filed for the Akrofom constituency, so he's not being contested. Samuel Prempeh Jr. for the Bekwai constituency is not being contested. Of course, Kwesi Amankwa for Kumeru constituency, Shamuddin Mohammed Kamel for Tapu constituency, and Hamza Swala for Mensha North constituency. So though these guys are going unopposed because they were only people who filed to contest.
William, thank you so much for this update. Appreciate it. William Evans Sinkum, as always, Northern Sector Bureau Chief, Christopher Mwako, Northern Regional Correspondent. Gentlemen, thank you so much for connecting with us on this, and appreciate your time, as always, here on Ghana Tonight. And the business community is concerned about the impact of the That's the Growth and Sustainability Levy that has been approved by Parliament, awaiting the President to assent to it. But Chonam Akpelo is joining us on on Zoom right now. He is the Greater Accra Zone Chair of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI. Chonam, what exactly is the AGI's position on what's happened in Parliament that the President is expected to assent to? The impact of this sustainability levy on you?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners. So the IMF requirement talks about we working on our revenue, but it's not necessarily the case that a new revenue bill has to be introduced. It's really about making sure that you increase your revenue levels. And AGI position is that there are many ways of doing this rather than introducing new revenue streamlines. And that's where our issue is. Our advocacy is not to prevent the finance minister from doing his work or mobilizing revenue or going to IMF. In fact, we are in full support of all activities to ensure that our economy is back on track. Our concern really is that there are many ways of making sure that we increase our revenue. Number one, look at the government's own expenditure. In increasing revenue, you can increase revenue by also reducing your expenditure. Look at government's budget. Look at the budget on capital expenditure, etc. Our view is that government must look at its own expenditure and reduce this expenditure to reflect the realities of the time. The times are hard. You cannot afford to have a bloated expenditure this time that things are hard. So we feel very strongly that government should consider to review its own expenditure and reduce it for that matter. Number two, there are many ways of mobilizing revenue. For example, property tax. We keep on talking about the same issue of property tax. In fact, I know people who really have to go to municipal offices to ask for their property tax because nobody is chasing them. ECG just started chasing people to pay their electricity bill.
Right.
We propose that GRA should also go around to collect property tax so they can mobilize revenue. And very similar point to this is the fact that there are many businesses that are not paying taxes. There are many businesses. And so continue to tax the few AGI companies that are tax compliant is not fair. Because what will happen is that very soon they may not even exist for you to tax because the taxes are just too much. Already we are dealing with inflation rate of 50% in excess, policy rate of 29.5%. This is already killing industry. So for you to continue to tax, for example, growth and sustainability levy, 2.5% before profit, that is high. And adding that to a corporate tax of 25% that we're already paying. So you are looking at in excess of over 27% of just taxes. And these are companies that are already compliant anyway. Whilst there are myriad of other companies that are informal and that are not paying tax, that are actually making a lot of money. Go to Makola and see, there are many businesses that don't pay taxes because they are informal. So the incentive to formalize our businesses is becoming difficult because people are not incentivized to formalize their businesses. Because if you do, you are the target for all of these taxes. And very soon, most of our factories will have to be closed down so that we all join the big wagon of importing of finished product and be selling and be joining the informal sector. But you and I know the role of manufacturers in the development of a nation such as ours. Manufacturers create employment, which is highly needed at this moment.
Right.
Manufacturers pay taxes and all of that. So why do we continue to create tax bills that focus on taxing the few companies that always comply? So really, that is the gravamen of the situation we are putting forward.
And indeed, it's quite clearly stated by you and many. Thank you so much, Chonam Clance Akpelo, Executive Member of the Association of Ghana Industries, that's AGI, and then also the Greater Accra Regional Chair of the AGI on this quite clearly on the impact that this growth and sustainability levy would have on industries in this country. That's how we end Ghana tonight. Join us same time tomorrow for another conversation. On behalf of the rest of the team, we appreciate your company. I am Alfred Conce. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.